I hope everybody's doing well today, and thanks for attending. We're going to dive right into our webinar today. First, I'd like to start with who we are at Vertical Communications. I'm not going to read this to you, but we're a strategic partner. We've got a lot of experience, and customer experience is a big focus of ours. That's what I do, customer experience, and I love working with companies and individuals to define the desired outcomes and work to achieve those outcomes. So today, we're just going to talk and focus on customer experience and the value of customer experience and why this is so important for companies to do. We're not going to go into a deep dive, right? We've got an hour today, so we can't go into every facet of customer experience. So we're going to highlight a lot of things and hopefully generate some interest on your part to want to connect with us and talk in greater detail. And that's what we are here to do, is show you that we can be a very valuable strategic partner to you and help you with your CX and your strategy around customer experience. So I always love to start with why, and there are great reasons to work with developing a more detailed customer experience strategy. And this slide highlights the fact that companies who have a customer experience strategy typically perform much better from a company value perspective. And this is very interesting analytics when you look at it, and it applies to publicly traded companies. But I think that differentiating yourself with customer experience is something that is of great value to every company, and it's a way to get more intimate with your customers. And customer intimacy is a very valuable term to use when you're deciding and devising your customer experience strategy. Knowing your customers can be a huge difference against your competition for their revenue, for their dollars. There's also very valid and detailed research on the value of better customer experience with increasing revenue. Customers are more likely to buy, and they're more likely to continue to buy from you in the future. Again, we have lots of white papers and empirical data on this to make the point that customer experience is a high return on investment. And then last, reduce cost. Cost avoidance, reducing the cost of transactions, whether it's by zero touch resolution, first call resolution. There are many terms that are being used in the industry today, but it adds profit directly to the bottom line. So the overall why of great customer experience is it makes a lot of sense, but there are financial values to it also. So let's dive in a little deeper into our topic today. And I like to say, think differently, right? Everything is changing. The market, solution providers, even the offerings from the solution providers continue to evolve. And your customers' needs, and not only their needs, but their expectations are evolving. Competition certainly is evolving. And the competition might not even be direct competition many times from a competitor. It might be competition for their disposable income or discretionary spending. And your needs as a company are evolving. So let's position this as thinking differently about defining your needs and how you would make decisions around this evolution to a customer experience strategy and maximizing the impact of customer experience. I like to talk about SAME, S-A-M-E, subscribe, adopt, measure, and evolve. In today's world of technology, we're seeing more and more cloud adoption. Now, at Vertical, we are very, very adept at cloud, and we're very adept at continuing to support our customers that are premise-based, and we have customers that are a combination or a hybrid of both. But today, I want you to think about subscribe, adopt, measure, evolve in the decision process. Many times I work with companies who have made a decision based on an evaluation of the features and the functionality of a platform or a solution. and they haven't really found out what the impact is going to be on how to adopt it. Professional services, uh, uh, projects that you're going to get involved with, any disruption that might occur, any additional responsibilities that you're going to incur as the customer, and how you measure success and how you continue to evolve, especially in a cloud environment where cloud companies are evolving at a very fast pace. They're developing new features, new functionality, uh, on basically a monthly basis, and some companies are having major releases on a monthly basis. So how do you keep up with all that? Well, in your decision process, think SAME, subscribe, adopt, measure, evolve. That'll give you a better set of perspectives from which you can evaluate and make decisions. So, customer experience strategy. This is where I think it becomes extremely important. What I've done is compartmentalize this into 5 different categories. And the reason I do that is because typically in the timeline of your process to evaluate and determine if you want to implement a customer experience strategy or migrate to a new solution or a hybrid solution, we like to look at it in these components. So I'm going to go into each of these in greater detail a little later on in the slide, but I wanted to set the stage here to think about this, right? Consulting, which can be guidance or consulting. And the term desired outcomes and objectives is going to pop up a few times. How do you ensure that you have the right workflow and design and get it implemented? How about integrations and application development? And then a term that we use here, customer experience continuity. I think people have been used to the term disaster recovery and business continuity, but I've expanded that term for us into customer experience continuity. And it's very important to think in those terms when you're thinking about customer experience, because typically to deliver customer experience requires multiple components, whether they're people, processes, platforms, even philosophy. And then the analytics component. We find analytics can be a great differentiator for companies, and we're going to dive more deeply into that in a little while. But first, I wanted to look at some elements of the strategy: vision and purpose, your employees, of course, customers, service providers, and strategic partners. And we're going to dive into each of these a little more deeply right now. So as we start with why before, I started earlier in our presentation was starting with why. Why is crucial to getting buy-in. And buy-in makes it much easier to execute your vision and your purpose and your strategy. And there are different elements involved in it, but clearly defined desired outcomes and objectives is a crucial starting point. What do you want to achieve? What does that look like? What does success look like to you? Are they aligned with your culture, right? Are the people that you're going to need to buy in, are they picking up that this fits into the culture and fits into the way your company does business? Context is very important for people to understand also. And without that context, it could be very misleading to people if they don't understand how that fits in. And then the control and collaboration components, I think, are extremely important. When we see people putting together vision and purpose, we really like to understand if it is a top-down or a joint effort, a collaborative effort to develop that takes into account the different perspectives, the different stakeholders in the company, and who has the level of control. Is the control coming from IT? Is it coming from the business leadership? Is it coming from financial leadership? It's usually a combination of all of them, but we'd like to know, and I think your people need to know to buy in some of these factors. And when a team has a common purpose, it definitely makes it easier for people to want to work harder because they're working for more than just themselves. They're working for the common purpose. They're working for the team and the company. So let's dive into employees. I think this is a very important component that some companies do exceptionally well on, and some companies tend not to do so well on. The first thing that we realize today is that every employee in your business represents your company. How they do it is up to you, and providing them with the tools and the guidelines to make that a reality is very important, right? The definition of an agent is definitely changing.
Oh, I couldn't agree with you more on that one, Craig. When it comes to agents, everybody thinks about, shall we say, a cheek in a seat. It's somebody that's sitting there and they're manning they're manning a telephone and they're answering and they're helping, but all too often, um, we can't have those people available on a 24/7 basis. It's just not tenable anymore based upon customer demands. So more and more you're seeing now the evolution of what we call an intelligent virtual agent, the use of uh, of a of an agent that is available on a 24/7 basis and is there to be able to handle a lot of mundane and routine tasks, requests for status of orders, canceling orders if need be, um, giving out locations of where a site may be that you're looking for. It could be, an update, or something as mundane also as being able to provide frequently asked questions. So, when you hear the term agent, broaden the concept out to somebody that's not just sitting here and eating and breathing.
Hey, thanks, Kurt. And I think that goes for many people think agents today is an inbound term, and that they can be outbound also, including the virtual agents. We find that outbound virtual agents today are reducing the workload on many workers, especially in fields that require appointments like medical and legal. So all of these factors come into play. I think that the ability to also make people feel valued and recognized is extremely important in a customer experience environment, right? Where your employees are representing you, having delighted and inspired and evangelistic employees goes a tremendous way in earning the same types of feelings from your customers. And people can tell. People can tell when they're dealing with someone who's engaged. And one of the best ways to do that is to invest in employee development and training. And when you're providing them with tools to be able to deliver and measure great customer experiences, this training and development is a significant positive impact on performance. Customers, do we understand the needs and expectations as they continue to evolve? I sometimes tie customers into competition, and because you learn a lot when you talk to your customers, especially if they are coming from a competitor. Why did they leave? Why are they coming to you? So there are many different parts of the conversation to include customers in. Uh, Expectation setting is one of those that I think is extremely valuable. And when you set an expectation with a customer, whether it's in a sales or support role or any type of interaction, you're basically providing that customer with the guidelines of what you believe is success, success for you and success for them. And it makes generating loyalty and customer sat and even net promoter scores more effective and earns you higher ratings. And we get back to loyalty and evangelist, right? A lot of people talk about delighted customers, and I think delighted customers is a great term, but I think loyalty is really the true measure of of a customer to you and the value of that customer to you, because loyal customer will continue to buy. And if you can bridge that and get to evangelistic, where customers are actually out there promoting your company, that's a fantastic position to be in. And it doesn't take a lot of work or a lot of extra work to get that done. It's very possible with implementing that type of philosophy in a customer experience strategy. So that brings us to service providers. There are many, many service providers. I think the bottom line with service providers and dealing directly with a service provider is, and many times you're evaluating multiple service providers, they want you to buy their solution. So when you're looking at that and they want you to buy their solution, I think you're going to see a significant bias in the way they're presenting information to you. Now, I'm not saying that in a derogatory way. It's just a reality. Before I came to Vertical in January, I spent 5 years as VP of Solutions Engineering at RingCentral. Now, RingCentral offers a tremendously popular and powerful solution. Is it the right solution for everyone? I don't believe anyone has the right solution for everyone. So it's really understanding what the service providers offer to you that help you achieve your outcomes and objectives. Service providers want you to buy directly from them. So we come to, yes, go
Craig,
ahead, I'm sorry.
yeah, if I can interject something about that, I too have had the distinct pleasure and blessing of being able to work directly for a number of these service providers in the past. And you're on point with the fact that, there is a degree of bias toward ensuring that whatever solution they have available, they will try to fit to your needs. Now, what I love about being a part of the Vertical team is that we actually have access to a number of these service providers, and we can take a much more agnostic approach to what your needs are, be true strategic partners in being able to listen to what those needs are, and then because of our experience, be able to tailor the correct solution provider that we have access to your needs in order to ensure that that we have your best interest in mind.
Kurt, you led me right to this slide. That's absolutely spot on. Thank you.
You bet.
So working with a strategic partner, right, that's going to give you a different perspective. With a great strategic partner, they're going to not just say, yes, I know what you want and just do it. They're going to work with you and understand your business, and they're going to leverage their knowledge and know-how and experience to help you define those desired outcomes and objectives. And the attributes that you're looking for and also include passion. Are they passionate about what they do? Are they just going through the motions? Do they really care? And again, the ability to execute, and not only execute in the selling motion, but execute in the implementation, execute in the support and the ongoing life cycle of working with a strategic partner is very, very important in the list of attributes that you're going to be looking for. A strategic partner is there to help you make the right decision with the right solution. And that might be solutions, right? There might be multiple solutions that you have to subscribe to and implement to achieve the desired outcomes that you want to achieve. Okay,
Greg,
so
can
now,
I hop in there with the question real quick?
Sure.
How does the cost compare when you're using a strategic partner compared to going directly to one of the providers?
Oh, that's, I'm glad you asked that question. A company like Vertical, we work with virtually every UCaaS, CCaaS, and CPaaS company that's out there, certainly all the major ones. So we are able to work with you on the licensing elements at no additional charge, right? We earn our money from a commission that they pay, the service providers pay to us. So you're not going to pay more to work with us. And in many cases, we're authorized to do the implementations. And with that, we are much more effective and efficient with our implementation team, and those costs can be significantly lower. Additionally, you look on the layer of services that we provide and support in our maintenance contracts, in our support contracts, are typically higher. And that means that there aren't any hidden costs later if you want to make some changes, if you want to evolve things that are covered under the terms of those agreements, we go in and do it. As a matter of fact, Kurt is one of our key SEs who goes out and does what we call health checks with our existing customers. And a health check is a deep dive into what they currently have, how they're evolving, what they're using. Is it as effective as they thought it would be? What do we need to tweak that's covered under our agreements, our service agreements, that won't cost them any additional labor charges? Do they have changing needs? Do we need different licenses? We look at implementations as phased also in many cases. So you might overextend yourself by trying to implement too much of the functionality of a new platform up front. So is it time to go to a phase 2 and start talking about, okay, we've got all of our core element customer experience routing and programming in place. We'd like to add callbacks, or we'd like to add additional functionality and features like a virtual agent, an intelligent virtual agent. So we do that type of work with existing customers, and that's great. But we also use that methodology when you engage us, because the SE team wants to dive in deeply to understand your business needs. We also can do that type of work with your existing platform. So not more expensive, and many times much less money. Jeff, thanks for asking that. So we're back to customer experience strategy, and let's dive into the elements here of each of these and what it means. Customer experience consulting is what we do at the core. That starts early in the discovery process. We want to clearly understand and document what success looks like, and put that in terms of timelines, benchmarks, and if there are phased implementations. When we understand where you want to be, who we're working with the collaborators, and the requirements that you have, we can really work closely with you to define those experiences and design and implement those experiences. So you look at what your current limitations and capabilities are. Do we need to add capabilities and limitations? Is it a hybrid, or is it a replacement from what you have? So if you're in a new project, what we will do is work with you to define what you want to keep, what functionality you need to keep, not the system, but the functionality, and what we need to add on top of it by understanding all of your requirements here. And yeah, go ahead.
If I could interject something too, as you've mentioned here about getting the desired outcomes and the correct collaborators and stakeholders, one of the things I highly suggest is that, if you look at expanding and improving your customer experience program that you have, ensure that you really do have the right people involved right from the get-go. I know all too often on my end, the first meeting or two that we may have with a company is maybe just with the IT team, and they're just functioning as gatekeepers. Can you do this? Can you do that? That type of a thing. And frankly, that actually can bog down the process and create confusion and eliminate clarity in the translation of whatever we're presenting and getting extracted from the IT teams. And a lot of times, if you're going to be involved in improving your customer experience platform, bring the business stakeholders to the table and make sure that they know that their involvement is key. Your marketing teams, sales teams, support teams, anybody that has any type of a customer experience facing touch to the outside world needs to be involved in this process. Don't just leave it to your IT team to sort of figure out whether or not you can do functions X, Y, and Z. So you really make sure that you have the full involvement of the correct personnel up front. Thank you, Craig.
Oh, no, thank you, Kurt. And I think that goes back to the point of expectation setting and defining success. Very important. When you bring the right stakeholders in play, and when we can work with the right stakeholders, defining success and expectation ties right back into point number one of your desired outcomes and objectives. And when you get that type of alignment, then you really have a much higher probability of being very successful with your project. And then working closely with you to evaluate your current solution, as I mentioned before. I'm not going to go back into health checks and checkups. Checkup is a lighter version of a health check. We're really here as your strategic partner to make sure you are able to leverage all of the tools and the platforms and the functionalities that are out there. And I think it's extremely important to have that partner who's capable of extracting the performance out of the solutions. So then we go to workflow and design and workflow design and implementation. We work with you again on the objectives and the outcomes. Look at your capabilities, look at how you want to interact with the customers, different channels. We're seeing a tremendous uptick in digital transformation. We're seeing a significant uptick in AI-based solutions. One of them that we really are very much and I'd say enamored with, because it works so well, is Five9 has the intelligent virtual agent, which it provides real-time natural voice and chat capabilities to aid in your self-service model, if that's what you want to implement. It really works well, and it's not difficult to implement, and it can be done in a hybrid environment. We've been putting them into systems to front end as an auto attendant front end, intelligent routing, or as Kurt was mentioning before, as ways to allow customers to perform self-service requirements, to meet their self-service requirements. And then dependencies. What are the factors that impact the design and implementation? We're going to get into another slide about integrations and applications, but that's a great topic to make sure that you're covering off on early in the process, not as an afterthought. And looking at, in the design, what's the impact for your business? And not just your business, but the people in your business. Are the agents, supervisors going to get the tools that they need in the workflow design? Are you going to be able to get the reporting that you need out of the customer experience workflows that are being designed? And adoption, not only internally, but do your customers like it? Do they like what you've designed? So we're very attuned to working with you to get there. And then in many cases, our customers want to implement a proof of concept. I like to call it an ecosystem evaluation, because when you do a proof of concept, you're typically looking at the platform or the solution. But when you do an ecosystem evaluation for us, you're going to see the level of support and care and passion that we have. And people like Kurt on the team, on the SE team, we do things a bit differently here also. We want you to think differently, because we've thought differently on how we've constructed our ecosystem. And the SEs stay attached to you as a customer. They don't go away once you sign the contract. They don't. Yeah, sorry.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but yeah, that's a great point. Again, I've had the pleasure of working for some very large service providers in the past, and there was almost a level of frustration where you would be working with the customer and get them through the design piece on all the pre-sales component. And then you hope that you provided enough of the right documentation so that it could be handed off to the implementation team, and crossed your fingers that everything was going to be translated over and work out okay. One of the big differentiators that I have found in coming to Vertical is, to Craig's point, we actually bridge that gap between what was designed and what's discussed and what's discovered. We work with the project management team and the implementation teams to ensure that all of the feature sets and the design and everything that it was discussed gets to implementation, and then the follow through on the back end of ensuring that, to Craig's point that he likes to talk about, that the demand and the delight on the customer end is there, that we met the expectations and needs of what you had going in. It's a refreshing concept that Vertical has, and it's been a pleasure to be a part of it and learn that part of our ecosystem.
And when we go back to talking about service providers, again, not a knock on service providers, but their business is built on a specific model. Their business is built on having a very regimented process for everything that goes through. Now, do we have a regimented process? Absolutely. But our business is differentiating itself by being your strategic partner and offering a higher level of service and support than you're going to get from a service provider. So we differentiate ourselves by being that partner, that strategic partner with you, and staying engaged. And customers that are existing customers continue to have access to the SEs that they work with when they made that decision to buy. We, at the bottom line on this, is we want to make sure you get what you want and reduce complexity, because when you reduce complexity, you increase the adoption, and people are typically much happier when they don't have to figure things out, when it's very well designed. An example of using an AI-enabled voice and chat virtual agent to deflect calls to the virtual agent and the impact it has on abandoned call rates. This is we have a lot of this empirical data that we can share with you. I've got extensive empirical data on how this makes a huge difference in the customer experience, and it makes a huge difference in your cost reduction. That one of the slides we started with earlier, right? Will it help you generate more revenue? Yes, it can. The big immediate impact is on the reduction of live calls, so the deflection to an intelligent virtual agent, and it frees up your live agents to handle higher value customer interactions, to potentially generate more revenue, or to make a customer happier because they're getting more personalized service. Very important considerations. Then we go to integrations and application development, right? And there are different types, but defining your needs and your requirements here is key. I find that many companies gloss over this until it comes time to do the implementation, and then they run into one of three scenarios that can be very, very disruptive to the project, right? And it can be because they don't want to dive deeper, they don't know how to dive deeper, or the partner that they're working with is not making this important enough in the overall process. So we have our own internal development team. We develop apps for many of our customers. One of our larger customers is CVS Pharmacies. We do all of their telephony for all of their stores, but we also have developed applications for them for things like prescription refill. So we have extensive knowledge and experience in this area. But the three areas that we run into are service provider developed. So is that if you're or 5.9 or 8x8 or RingCentral or GoTo, do the integrations and applications that they have meet your needs? And that can also be including Microsoft Teams, right? If you have a strategy that you've implemented Teams and you're looking for additional services to supplement Teams, how is that going to work for you? In many cases, there's a third-party ecosystem. So these ISVs, these independent software vendors, are out there. And where you typically run into issues with this is they do a lot of things. Is it doing what you need to do? Do you need to change your workflows to be able to use their tools? Or in the last point here, custom developed, would you rather do some custom development to have the exact functionality that you need to work within your needs and workflows? We do the last one. We do the last one using the APIs and developer tools that are provided by the service providers, and we love doing that type of work. The image here also has the link, so when Jeff shares the presentation and the recording with everybody, this has an article that one of our consultants, internal consultants, who's a contact center expert in analytics, has and custom development, has written for us. And it's a very interesting article to spend about 7 or 8 minutes reading. So we as a strategic partner offer this embedded. We're not going to farm this out to a third party for custom development. We're going to take that under our wing. Or if it is an independent ISV, we can help translate the needs that you have to determine if they can modify their existing functionality to meet your specific needs. But we'll be that strategic partner working with you on that. Now, customer experience continuity. I think we've all talked about business continuity and disaster recovery. Do you have a documented process? Does that process include what you need to do with your business continuity for your current CX tools or communication tools? We can help you ensure that you're getting what you need by looking at the solutions, by working with you to define what you need to have as your continuity plan for your customer experience continuity plan, and help document that with you. People on a team like Kurt and myself, we love working this functionality with you because it makes you think ahead. And when you define what you need to be able to continue to work when certain situations happen, like a loss of access to a building, if you have physical resources, the loss of an application not working properly, the loss of connectivity, and what is your plan to continue to work when you have a connectivity issue. We'll work with you with all of those to design and define and document that process. I think it is extremely important to make sure that this is included in your thinking when you're designing your customer experience strategy. And then I'd say last but not least, actionable analytics. Customer experience analytics, there's so much here to unpack. I could spend an hour alone on this topic. I could spend an hour on every topic actually, but on this topic, this is exciting, right? Because measuring the value helps you make better decisions. It helps you evolve and deliver better customer experience as things are changing and evolving around you. So these factors of making sure that they align with your objectives and your outcomes and objectives, very important. Making sure that you're considering different perspectives and what to analyze. We get back to employee satisfaction. Gamification becomes important. Being able to give recognition becomes important. And then financially, return on investment, extremely, extremely important, especially to justify the success of a project like this, and to be able to continue to invest in your customer experience initiatives going forward. And then who and how are they going to be used to have an impact and to continue to evolve on how your business continues to adapt to the changing environments. And then we like to work with you on the design and implementation also about analytics, because if you're not considering analytics in your customer experience workflow design, you might not be able to extract the information that you need after the fact. You want that to be an integral part of the design. And what I found is training, especially when you're putting a new platform in, especially in the area of analytics, will save you, investing in training ahead of time will save you a lot of trouble and disruption after the fact. While many of these tools are pretty intuitive and extremely powerful, the training is, I believe, a very high ROI investment, and it will help in the adoption of the new tools to leverage in your decision process. Okay, so we've covered quite a few topics. I wanted to circle back and finish up on this point, right? The strategic partner, I believe, is a key part of any customer experience strategy. We talked about thinking differently, and we've talked about considering not just the functionality of what you have to do to say, yes, I want to subscribe to a service or buy a product. I want you to think about subscribe, adopt, measure, and evolve. And that will give you a much broader set of perspectives to review and to consider when you're designing and considering implementing your customer experience strategy. With that, that is the content that I have on the slides. I just wanted to follow up and say, hey, we're a great strategic partner to come talk to. We're worth a conversation. We bring a lot of value to the table, and we have Jeff, I'm going to lean on you on this one. Net Promoter Score. What's our lifetime Net Promoter Score now?
I believe we're at 83 right now.
What's world class?
I mean, world class is like 60, 65 and above in our industry.
So we're at 83. If you do any research at all on Net Promoter Score, you probably know it already, but if you do any research some of the service providers. That will prove the point that it's not just the technology, it's the technology and the right strategic partner to help you with the consulting, the design, the implementation, right? All of the factors that we talked about, the continuity plan, the integrations, and the analytics that are a huge difference in what you can achieve.